Hi, this is Marcia Glenn with the GlennAdvantage team at Howard Hanna at the Penfield office. I am thrilled to be starting this informational series for all the sellers and buyers out there and the public who is really looking to get some additional information in regards to how that whole real estate transaction works, which is an ever-evolving process. The one piece that I think is really valuable, which we're going to introduce today, that's our guest for today, is the actual getting your home ready. What to do in order to make sure that you are giving the best impression so that you can indeed receive the greatest amount in regards to your investment. And that is being able to capitalize on the market, but also being able to kind of outshine the competition. So as part of that, you know, the old adage of one can never have a second chance to make a great first impression. Our first guests for today, and I want to introduce them now, are Kathy Cipher and Susan LaRose, partners in Simplicity, which is a professional staging company that comes in and actually gives you the to-dos on how to get your house ready. So thanks very much for joining us today and being our first part of this informational series, which I think is really one of the biggest parts. No matter what the market is doing in today's world of real estate, you still have to outshine whether it be 10 other competing listings or whether it be one other competing listing. So you want everyone being able to come to your door because you've attracted them and given them the look that is really going to end up capitalizing on that investment. So, first, tell me a little bit about yourselves and how you got started in this.
Okay. I am Kathy Cipher, the owner of Partners in Simplicity. And going back to the name, when we started 14 years ago, Partners in Simplicity is partnering with agents, partnering with homeowners to make the process of selling more simple. The business has evolved as things have changed over time with the real estate market, and I am fortunate to have with me Susan LaRose, who is a color specialist and design expert. And as they say, when you want to have a successful business, you surround yourself with wonderful, successful people. So Susan has a great eye. She completely understands the whole focus and purpose of staging, which is essential because we partner together, go in homes, we do consultations to tell people what they should do, as well as the actual staging, which Susan does a lot of while I drive around and gather things for people's homes. So she also has a business, so she's I'll let her just speak a little bit briefly about her expertise.
Sure, it's her consultations for interior and exterior on homes. I've done also commercial for Main Street in Marion. But my favorite is staging. So I'm so glad I've partnered with Kathy, and then she gives me the opportunity to stage homes for sellers.
Well, that's excellent. So, a couple questions that I want to put out there that I know that the public has. Why should we stage? I know as an agent, and the GlennAdvantage team as a group of agents, realize the importance of making sure that your home gets set and ready to go to give that great first impression.
Right.
So give us your thought process in terms of how your expertise and your objective eye can give them the most, the likelihood of a great sale.
Sure. You hit the nail on the head. There are two people that we meet with. One is the person that's moved a lot. They completely, well, I wouldn't say completely, but oftentimes get the process of staging. They understand the importance. And then there's the other seller who has been living in their home for so long and they don't understand the concept and they get intimidated by it. Intimidated thinking it's going to be costly, it's going to be overwhelming. But we, again, make the process simple, and that should be what staging is. It's marketing your home. So it's important to depersonalize so that a buyer can see themselves living in the house. So we will go in together and we will say, these are the things that we should or you should remove. Let's move some of this out to make your house look more spacious. And also not only pack some things up, but that begins the process for them of depersonalizing and sort of taking away the emotional attachment to the home, because they start to see the house as something that is on the market and not their personal, which is hard. That's a hard process to do, and we walk through them with that in that process. So
Sometimes I think people have lived in their house so long that they don't see some of the things that we might see with a fresh eye when we go through. So I think that's beneficial to have a fresh eye like ours to say, no, maybe did you think about this?
Right.
I think sometimes we've prefaced, you have lovely decorating taste. However, we're not decorating your home, we're staging your home for sale so you can make the most money.
And we don't want people that are buying the house to see their things. And that's oftentimes what happens. People get distracted by the things. You can tell someone's traveled, you can tell where they've been or their personal taste. We want people to see the features of the home.
Tell me the difference between your thoughts on what a decorating purpose would do, as opposed to what you're really doing is a staging process, kind of setting the stage in order to get that home sold. You're not the interior designer coming in to redecorate to their particular taste.
It's very different. I'll let you start with that one.
I think that's like how we've explained it to people. We're not here to decorate your house. Some people are like, I have to live like this for you know, I'm like, it's a short period of time that you have to deal with it, and it really is just simplifying and a lot of times it's decluttering people's homes and taking away distractions. I think I have that when there's too many things hung on the wall, and somebody may have lovely artwork and it's decorated, and maybe a decorator did come in and decorate their home, but we're not showing decor. We are showing the features of the home and making it look enticing. And it might have been the pure fact that we always say we're going to hip it up a little bit. So it might be an older buyer, an older seller, and we need to make the house marketable to a younger buyer.
Right.
By bringing in our things to make it look a little more hip.
Right.
So when you do that, I know you do different suggestions, maybe some different suggestions in terms of color concepts and, you know, change of paint color and that sort of thing as well. But in terms of actually saying to the folks what you're exactly going to be doing, is it working with some of the furniture that they might have? Is it you yourselves coming in and removing things out of the house and moving things into the house out of your storage that you have the, you know, the stock that's utilized in your staging?
Yes, we mix. So we can use the furniture that a homeowner has, and then, like Susan alluded to earlier, if there's maybe an older couple and some of their things are a bit tired, we'll offer to bring in some of our things just to kind of hip it up. So we can mix it in. There are times that we will bring in new bedding, new towels, just to freshen things up a little bit. I don't think people realize how important that is, because it's a feeling that people have. When you walk through a house, it is an emotional attachment and a feeling that you're going to get. And if the house feels tired, if it feels just not attractive and you don't get a warm feeling, you may move on. The buyer may move on to another house. So yes, we mix our things with their things as well.
And I think that that's kind of part of the point that we try to make here, is not only to give your professional expertise on how we can do the best impression on this house, and how we can get it sold faster and for the best dollar and for the best terms over the rest of the competition, but also that you spend hours putting this whole process together.
Yeah, all the way back to
so, you know, in terms of that, I mean, what are you looking at as far as an actual, let's say an average pricing for an average size house?
So it depends. It depends if it's completely empty. We do homes for people that have moved out completely. So depends how much furniture we're bringing in. We're very reasonable, and we know that people think of staging and think high price tag. And that's not who we are. We are reasonable. We want it to be something that people say, oh, I can do that. I can invest this money. So an empty house would range anywhere from a small house being $650 up to, we've done really big houses that are over $2,000. But we keep it as reasonable as we can, and we keep things in the house for 60 days. Typically, if a house is priced, right, the house should sell within 60 days. If there's something going on, maybe actually we've done model homes where, or they're a spec home, it'll be longer than 60 days. But typically 60 days is plenty. For a home that we're mixing in things, the minimum is $450. And again, that's for us to do everything plus keep the things in there for 60 days. But if it does require a lot of moving, packing up, that sort of thing, then we have to add on the time that we were there and the amount that we packed and moved and physically moved and so forth. But.
So the baseline on that, though, what we're trying to end up telling, kind of give guidance to people on, is if you create that great first impression, then you are apt to get more dollars for it because you have created that first impression and you've made it a good one for all folks that come through the door.
Right.
And you can end up realizing any kind of dollar amount back to you and get it done in a very quick fashion. Because I know I've used it a lot, and I thank you very much for your expertise in that area. And I know that getting a house staged and getting it sold has sometimes happened within the first 24 to 48 hours because of that first impression.
Right.
So that's really kind of what we're saying today. The likelihood that you'll end up getting your home sold, the likelihood that you will end up being able to beat out the competition if you're up against, and the likelihood that you will get the best dollar more often above what you ever thought that you could get.
Right.
You'll get the dollars back of any kind of preparation that you had to do in regards to the house, getting it ready and getting it prepped. And all of that really doesn't take a whole lot of time either. It's not like a month in advance where you have to do it. You literally, I know you've done it, within a 24-hour time period.
Yeah.
It's called, okay, can you stage this house for me tomorrow? And you're there. So.
Right. I think the most important thing I would want to tell people and for agents to share with their clients is we're there for them every step of the way. You're there as their agent. But from the moment we meet with them and do a consultation and walk them through this process with a follow-up emailed report to them, and that is so valuable to them because we're there for them, even if it is a month before they're going to list. Sometimes I've gotten calls a year later if they have a question about a paint color or about a choice they're making to prepare their house. We are there for them. And I think that is just a peace of mind for people to know, okay, this is really for the stagers. This isn't really necessarily something they're going to call you on until they're ready to list.
Right.
And we get it ready for the agent to list. So when you come back into the picture, you're ready to go.
Right.
And then it sells.
It's the relationship building.
Oh,
which again goes back to any real estate transaction is you've got to have that bond that is created and you have to have that relationship set up and you have to have confidence in the fact that what you're being told and what you're being asked to do is indeed going to end up creating a favorable result for you, the seller.
Right.
It's also going to end up creating a favorable result for the buyers as they come through because the buyers' agents who are showing the houses are showing different houses.
Right.
And when they bring their buyers through a particular house that has been staged and staged correctly, they can definitely see the difference and they feel the difference in terms of what might be necessary to be done in the house after the fact. At the end result, culminates in that fabulous sale for the best price and the best terms, which again is what we're trying to get you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. What do you see as kind of the topping on the cake?
I've been thinking the whole time that not only just for people to walk through the house, it starts with our staging, the photography that happens to entice. We're such visual creatures that to entice those people swiping to see what house is going to be one I want to go look at, and the one that's staged is the one that they're going to go look at.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what I think is the.
Because you hear so often when folks come into a home that, okay, this show is so different from the pictures.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily hear that when one comes into a home that's been completely professionally staged and ready for those photos. They come through the door and say, this looks exactly like,
Right.
this was no different
Yeah,
than what I
when it was
saw
filming.
online, which is
Right.
really what you want to create as
Yes.
well.
And we tell people when we're done staging, they say, oh, this is just for the pictures. And we're like, no. This is how it should look for every single showing. And if you're fortunate, it'll only be
One day.
one day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. Because you did this and you did it right and you drew people into your home. They saw what they were expecting and they made an offer. So it creates home. It creates a feeling of, I have to have this house. Because, and then a lot of times people will say, can we buy your stuff?
I have heard that often.
Yeah,
after
yeah.
the stage
Sometimes
shows.
we sell.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that gives a good amount. Thank you so much of information in terms of staging and why that's an important aspect of a real estate transaction. It's the beginning aspect before those pictures and whatnot are done to get your home onto the market. Kathy and Susan, thank you so much. If you could maybe let the folks know in terms of who you are again, name of business and contact numbers, that would be great.
Sure. I am Kathy Seifer, owner of Partners in Simplicity, and we have a website, partnersinsimplicity.com or .net. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and we're always happy to talk to anybody, whether agents, homeowners, to get the process rolling.
And I'm Marcia Glenn, GlennAdvantage team here at Howard Hanna. First segment of our informational sessions, and I thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
today. I think it was a lot of great information. And hopefully one will be tuning into the social media so that you can end up seeing this entire piece as we have laid out today. Next segment will be coming next week. We will be airing these on Mondays, so check into your social media accounts. Please log in and make sure that you are able to enjoy, which I hope to be beneficial information to you. And again, any questions that you might happen to have, please send to GlennAdvantage@howardhanna.com, and we will look to get those answered each and every session. Thank you so much. Marcia Glenn, kind of signing out here. Bye-bye.